Hey everybody, Eugene Mulero here with Transport Topics, and I'm here with my friend Stephanie Beasley, transportation reporter at Bloomberg BNA. And Stephanie, we're here to talk about the highway bill that is no longer a bill, it's actually a law signed by President Obama on Friday. And we can't say enough about how significant this is. This is 10 years in the making. This is something that nearly the entire transportation community took part in, stakeholders from safety groups all the way down to the business community. Everybody had a say in this. There were some winners and losers, but overall, this is a bill that will take us for 5 years. What were some of the takeaways, when you watched the debate and, you talked to the transportation leaders about this?
Well, I think one thing that people are still marveling at is that, essentially the House and the Senate both passed 6-year legislation.
Yeah.
And within the past couple of weeks, we went from 6 years with 3 years of full funding to now a 5-year fully funded bill. So I think people were surprised that they got even more than they expected at this point. And this is like a big deal. This has been years in the making, many months of us reporters chasing after this bill, and now we have something. And like you said, everyone's not totally happy with it, but mostly happy that they get that certainty of 5 years.
Yeah, and we'll get to the pay-fors in a second. But some of the provisions in the bill, to touch them quickly, for the trucking community, we saw that the new highway law called for the removal of the public scores at FMCSA in this program known as Compliance, Safety, Accountability. And just minutes after the bill was signed into law, those scores were taken down from public view. There's going to be a extensive review of this program, the CSA program, and upon the review, the agency will have to present to Congress a corrective action plan, a way that they're going to go to about reforming the CSA scores. And what else did you find in the bill?
Well, also something that was very controversial, which was in both the Senate and the House passed bills, there was a pilot program, a 3-year pilot program that would allow 18 and 19-year-olds to operate commercial trucks and buses across state lines. And so what we got in the final bill, the program still exists, but now it's limited to members of the military and veterans. So it won't just be, any 18 or 19-year-old who has a commercial driver's, license. It's certain individuals. So that was sort of a win for some of the safety groups who were really concerned about that.
Yeah, and I think part of that provision also is calling on DOT to look at the safety aspects or safety benefits of having younger drivers operating within state lines and then also around the country. And then stay still on the trucking industry's perspective, the new law, paves the way for the use of hair testing as an alternative for pre-employment screenings. And this is something that it might take about a year to get done, but is touted by trucking leaders nationwide. And then the bill also has this $10 billion for a new freight program, and this is meant to reduce congestion around in the big metropolitan areas. And we heard it on the floor, several lawmakers saying that people, Democrats and Republicans saying peoples and companies spend hours and hours losing money being stuck in traffic.
Right. And that was one of the very, big deals in this bill, and that's something new, this new major freight policy and a new freight plan. And also included in that, there is a grant program, a $4.5 billion grant program for highway and freight projects of national significance. And included in that is multimodal freight, and it's the first time that's happened. I think there's about $500 million in there for them as well. And that's something that a lot of the freight groups were very happy about, because they want to talk about, freight is more than just highways. We also connect to, waterways and rail.
And then we also have some other non-trucking safety provisions in the bill. Could you touch on them?
Right. So also in there, we have a provision that will allow the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to up the penalties against automakers who are, found to have committed malfeasance. So now instead of 35 million, it's 105 million that the agency can wage against these automakers. Also, there is a change in there. So now rental car companies and car dealerships that loan out or rent cars are responsible for fixing any vehicle that they have that's under recall.
And that's something, correct me if I'm wrong, Senators Richard Blumenthal was pushing for that.
Right.
And some of his Democratic colleagues.
Senator Markey and Senator Wicker, and several of them were pushing for some of these safety changes.
So this is a big win for that camp in this new highway law.
Right.
And then in non-transportation, I want to just get into this briefly, but this bill also reauthorized the Export-Import Bank for 4 years, and that was not only a big win for the administration who wanted to see this, but Democrats in the House and Senate who really were pushing for this. The Congress allowed for the Export-Import Bank charter to expire back in June. And even business groups were touting that. And that was when the House was considering their version of the highway bill. Paul Ryan, the Speaker, allowed for debate on the Export-Import Bank late into the night, and you saw a battery of these conservative Republicans who were really trying to undo the Export-Import Banks in the bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Also included is a passenger rail title, so it reauthorizes the passenger rail for the next 5 years, which is, that part was included in the Senate passed bill and not in the House version, although the House had passed the passenger rail bill back in March. So included within that, there's some grant money for railroads to implement positive train control and other measures that are going to be beneficial to Amtrak as well.
Exactly. Now, to get this new law, no pun intended, on the road and going, congressional lawmakers did not raise fuel taxes to pay for highway programs, which traditionally that had been how previous highway laws were backed. Now what we have seen is just what critics of these provisions call, gimmicks to pay for the bill. Give me just one or two examples of what we're looking at.
So what you see here is several sort of transportation related pay-fors kind of cobbled together, and there was some discussion about that during the House debate. Representative Reed Ribble, who's a Republican from Wisconsin, called the pay-fors phony.
That's right, yeah.
And also Senator Tom Carper from Delaware, Democrat from Delaware, said he voted against the bill because he didn't like the pay-fors. So included within these pay-fors, you have two that are related to the Federal Reserve, one that would tap into surplus Federal Reserve money, and another that would reduce the dividend payments that the Fed makes to member banks. Also, you have one that's going to allow the sale of crude oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And then several others, like now the IRS will be able to hire private contractors to collect overdue taxes. And there's one about revoking passports. So several things kind of put together here in order to get this 5 years of funding. But of course, you have lawmakers, Congressman Schuster, who's the chairman of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, said after the bill passed out of the House that they are planning to continue discussions about raising the federal gas tax. He wants to bring stakeholders together. Where that goes, we don't know, and he doesn't exactly know. He said, I'm as confident as anybody can be that that's something that's going to happen.
And I know that this is still fresh and we're still in the honeymoon phase of this new highway law, and 5 years is a ways away, but in conversations with Congressman Earl Blumenauer, an Oregon Democrat who has really pushed for raising fuel taxes to pay for infrastructure projects, and others, Reed Ribble as well, they bring up that within 5 years, the alternative has to be resorting to raising fuel taxes. That by, I guess, the year 2020 is when this law would expire. is that we have to look at that. Otherwise, we'll be back where we are, and we could again go into like a series of short-term extensions.
And they'll probably have to look at that before 2020 even. And, you know, Congressman Peter DeFazio, who's the ranking member of the House Transportation Committee, has said that if we are able to raise the fuel taxes before then, that, you know, you can funnel that money right into this bill without taking any additional action. So that's a possibility, but I mean, raising the gas tax hasn't gotten a lot of traction in this Congress, so I guess we'd have to see, you know, if something changes, you know, maybe in the next administration or
a new administration, or maybe a realization eventually that there's no more funding alternatives for transportation, and this is what they have to do. And you know, just a quick pivot. Again, this is a big deal by the Congress, and I know that the news cycle is filled with some other, you know, big news leads. You know, we got national security stuff in the news, but I was slightly disappointed that the Sunday shows didn't really, you know, talk about this new highway law.
Well, you know,
I wasn't expecting, you know, a whole show devoted to transportation, but just a mention in Meet the Press or, you know, this week.
It's one of those things that doesn't get a lot of coverage, though it's vitally important to all of us. But, you know, I don't know. I talked to my mom the other day, and she said, I see that the highway bill just passed, and like, woohoo. So I think some people, you know, lots of people are paying attention to it. So I think it's a big deal, even if, you know, didn't get the attention. And yeah, when you get terrorism.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then I actually did get a text from my uncle in Puerto Rico saying, hey, I read about this 5-year bill. So it did get out there. I was just saying, you know, more mainstream media kind of coverage. But you and I are going to still be reporting on this new law and on some other issues. And check out Stephanie's work at Bloomberg BNA's website, and also on Twitter as Steph_Beasley. And for all Capitol Hill news, check out Capitol Agenda on Tuesdays. And thank you.
Thank you.